Hello, Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Vailoces-No.
You're watching
Silliman.
Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine show that talks about different aspects of Silliman University, a program initiated to discuss different matters concerning the campus by the sea. You're watching Silliman. Hello, Dumaguete. Hello, Negros Oriental. Hello, Sillimanians and friends of Silliman around the world. Dagang salamat for joining another episode of Silliman. We bid you an excellent state of health as you join us tonight. And of course, special shout out to our televiewers via Channel 6 Field Products. And of course, to our avid supporters via Facebook and our growing community on YouTube. Maayong gabi, buntag, hapon, whenever you're watching this. Well, Silliman University promotes its 5 C's: classroom, church, the court, and of course, one of the most important C's in the university is culture. And Silliman University is so happy, proud, and delighted that we have very competent, very intelligent, and more importantly, very passionate faculty members who really dedicate their time, energy, and effort in contributing to this culture. And one of the aspects that we are very, very proud of here in Silliman University when it comes to the culture is this writing community. We have this very good pool of writers in the universities, and in one way or the other, this is very important to us because this gives us a glimpse of our human experience after all. So tonight, we have invited some of them, and we are very pleased to have them in the show. So allow me to introduce first one of the faculty members of the Silliman University English Department. We have here Assistant Professor Angela Gabrielle Fabunan. Ma'am Angela, welcome to Silliman.
Hello.
And of course, we also have a student from the College of Arts and Sciences, a senior chemistry student. We have Miss Keisiah Tiaoson.
Hi.
All right. And of course, we have the one of, I think, most popular writers, not only in the region, but even in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fermin Casocot. Sir Ian, good evening and welcome to Silliman.
Hello, with the article, Pajud.
Yes, with a definite article, the. Thank you very much for sharing your time and being on the show, no? So first and foremost, I'd like to ask you, it's already the month of November. We are approaching this season of Yuletide, Christmas na, no? Pasko na. So if there is this one wish, no, that you are expecting for this Christmas, what would be that wish? Maybe we can start with Keisiah.
To finish my thesis as soon as possible.
Yes, because you're a senior student after all. All right, so that's your wish. Well, we are going to pray that you will really finish your thesis on time. How about you, Miss Ange?
Well, I'm getting married this December.
Oh!
So I'm hoping for a good and happy married life.
Congratulations, ma'am, and best wishes.
Thank you.
All right, how about Sir Ian?
To give a beauty pageant answer, peace on earth. we do need that. But personally, just to get through the fiesta, there are so many things to do. And of course, the challenges of the new year. So I'm looking forward to that, but also hoping we will all have the fortitude to face, the new year.
Yes. So the strength, the fortitude, and hopefully, 2024 will be kind to us. So first and foremost, let's go to your recent achievements, no? Because as a community here in Silliman, we are large, but in essence, we are quite small, no? We are big, but we are small. We are a small community. So Keisiah and Assistant Professor Casocot here won Palanca Awards. So honestly, I'm not so particular and familiar with the rigmaroles of the awards, but perhaps you can share more details to us. So Keisiah would like to unpack more information. What did you win? What category? And did you get a cash prize?
The awarding is still on November 27. So
okay.
we'll meet each other in where? PICC.
Oh, so Sir Ian, for the benefit of our televiewers, can you speak more about the details of this Palanca Awards? No, are there categories? Are there divisions? What is the structure of these awards?
Well, the Palanca Awards was founded by the founder of this. What drink is that? Tanduay, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Or San Miguel, one
or
of
something.
them. Yeah.
One of the corporations.
One of those corporations that cater to our drinking needs. It was founded in 1950. And if you take a look at the winners, we have so many giants of Philippine literature like Edith Tiampo,
Yeah.
Nick Joaquin, Gregorio Brillantes, and so on and so forth. And it started in 1950 as an award for just the short story. And it was just an award for the short story for the longest time until they put in poetry. But over the years, they added more categories to kind of reflect, all the genres of literature
Be
that
more
we
inclusive.
get into. Like, so there's a novel now, there's the poetry for children's story, the play, one-act play, full-length play, and then of course the same categories in the Filipino language. So, and then later on they incorporated the short story in the various regional languages like Hiligaynon and Binisaya and Bicolano and Ilocano.
Yeah.
And then later on, they kind of embraced the writings, the essays of young writers. So you have the Kabataan essay, also both for English and Filipino.
Wow.
So it has grown over the years. And sometimes some categories become introduced and then they disappear. Like I remember one year, they introduced what they call the future fiction.
Okay.
It was there for about 7 years and then it
Alright.
disappeared. Teleplay used to be a very, very popular category,
Yes.
and then it disappeared. So it evolves, over the years.
It undergoes this dynamism, kumbaga.
But it is considered the Pulitzer Prize of the Philippines.
Right.
So it is actually the one award that people really know. There are actually other bigger prizes,
Yes.
literary prizes in the Philippines, so many others, but it is the Palanca that has the most name recall.
Right.
So actually for now, right now, I have kind of reconciled with the idea nga I will always be introduced as Palanca winner.
Palanca awardee.
Because that's the
and for sure, a
award.
Hall Famer in
Yeah.
the very near future.
That's the award that people will know about literature in the Philippines.
Right. So for you, Keisha, what did you win in the Palanca Awards?
I won Tula para sa mga bata.
Tula para sa mga bata. And particularly, how did you call your entry?
It's Tugma ng Buhay Kong Payak.
Tugma ng Buhay Kong Payak. Wow. And then, did you know how many were the participants in the said category, or you didn't know?
No, I don't know about the exact
I have
number of
judged the
entries.
Palanca, so I would kind of know.
So in average, Sir Ian,
In the short story usually has the most number of entries, like around 200, ganon. But there are also some categories that have like 30, 50.
Right.
For Tula, I'm not sure, probably around
hundreds
50 or
also,
100.
50 to 100. So you competed, no, with so many writers, and you bagged that award. So congratulations. Is this your first time joining the?
Yes, this is actually my first time in joining the Palanca and my first time to write in Filipino.
Wow!
First time to win.
What a milestone! This is going to be remarkable in your writing career. Congratulations once again. And of course, for Sir Ian, I think we read that in the university article that you won 3 awards this year, no? Under I think 3 categories. So what were those categories, sir?
I've won for the short story.
Short story.
I've won for the
May we know how did you call your entry, sir, for the short story?
What's my this particular short story, I actually wrote it about my experience teaching during the pandemic and eventually going to hiatus. That's the thing, I can't remember my title.
Yes,
So
that's
forgive me, but
yeah.
I can tell you what they are all
Sure.
about.
And then short story.
That's a short story, and then I won for poetry for children, and I will never write poetry for children anymore because it was the hardest writing I have ever done ever.
And can you
that
recall?
one is about I'm an advocate for Binisaya. So, and, it's like, I wanted to introduce people to Binisaya. So,
Binisaya.
I kinda took note of particular words in Binisaya,
Right.
like gugma and so on and so forth. And then I wrote children's poems about each of those words.
Wow.
And then the one-act play, I've always been fascinated, especially when I used to teach Philippine literature. One of my favorite writers is Manuel Argilia. So I've written, in fact, my short story and my one-act play are all about Manuel Argilia. For some reason, that pandemic story that I wrote is about Manuel Argilia in some ways. And then this play, I actually tried to imagine Manuel Argilia. He wrote he's a very famous short story writer who was killed by the Japanese at the end of World War II.
Wow.
So I was trying to imagine his last days while he was in prison, waiting for death to come.
Yeah.
And then I tried to make him imagine writing this one particular short story that I love, which is Midsummer, which for many, many people seemed to be a short story about nothing because it's just a boy and a girl meeting in the countryside, and then they flirt, and then they go home. So, like, a lot of, when I used to teach this particular short story, a lot of my students would usually begin by saying, "Sir, it's about nothing." And that's how I begin it. I begin teaching it because it seems to be a short story about nothing, but there's so many things going on inside it if you just take care to read between the lines. So, I took that particular notion and then imagine it as the writer imagining that particular story, and I wrote an entire play about it.
Wow, wonderful. So I could just imagine the creative juices flowing here right now. So intense. And of course, we have here, Ma'am Ange, I think your article on Vogue Philippines actually got viral, no? It was well shared on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. Can you tell us more about it, ma'am? Because what we saw on Facebook are like pictures of the Silliman bus, and then, can you tell more about it?
A guest editor approached me from Vogue, and they wanted to do a feature on Dumaguete. So I wanted to show like a little side of Dumaguete that hasn't been seen before, such as like the students who really get the art scene going, you know, and student spaces, things like that. Rather than like featuring, you know, prominent artists, I wanted to really feature like the nitty-gritty of the art scene here.
And I think you have successfully captured those aspects of Dumaguete City, and I think these are confirmed also by the comments. I was reading the comments, and Dumaguete is indeed like that, or I was there and it was indeed like that. So I think it was a very good way to put things in word, to put things in pictures. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. Now, we're just going to pause for a short break, but when we come back, let's talk about your writing process, because some writers we know, no, they've been known to their kind of weird, or if I may use the term, or let's say, not ordinary, extraordinary rituals that some of I'm not sure if this is true, but some writers, according to some chicas way back in my high school days, we would learn that some writers actually need to drink, they need to ride a bus, they need to perhaps, I don't know, see their parents or something. They have these kinds of rituals, and I'm just so curious whether our writers here also need to drink a lot for them to finish a write-up. All of that and more when #Silliman returns. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and you're still watching #Silliman. We're still joined by our Sillimanian culturati, if I can call them, or mga intelligentsia. Because they are very, I would consider gems and treasures of the university. And that's, I genuinely say that. And before we pause for a short break, I actually asked you about your rituals or your process. What is your writing process? And perhaps this is also an inspiration for those who are aspiring to become like you also in the future. So I'd like to begin with Ma'am Ange, because if I may ask, Ma'am, what sorts of things do you write? Are you more into technical writing, creative writing?
Well, I'm a creative writing teacher, but I mostly write poetry.
Poetry.
Yeah, English poetry.
So when you make a poem, what is your process?
Well, sometimes I make poems just like out of commission. Sometimes I make poems like that need to be written like ASAP.
Right.
So I just open up my laptop and I just write a word, and then a word follows a word, and and follows another word. So I feel like I don't have really a ritual, but it's just like a time constraint that I need to like finish something, like a deadline.
Right.
The deadline is good
And
motivation.
it's great motivation for finishing something. Yeah.
But how do you know that the poem is ready? Like, of course, you write, and then how do you know that your piece is ready?
Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't know that a piece is ready. You only know like a few years later when you realize, oh, this is crap and I have to revise it. Or sometimes, the next day you look at it and then you're like, okay, I have to revise it again. But you never really know that a poem is finished until you know. It's very mystical that way, yeah.
Right. So it's intrinsic. Sir Ian, in leadership, people would say that, or people would ask, are leaders born or are leaders made? So in your I would say, community, are writers made or are writers born?
Writers are made.
Writers are made.
But sometimes you do have a spark inside you that you don't actually recognize what other people do, and that has been my story. When I was younger in West City Elementary School and later in Silliman High School, I kind of knew I liked to write, but I never considered it as something that I would do for the rest of my life.
Right.
But there were people who recognized that in me, like teachers would say, you should be editor of this particular school organ. You should be like and then okay, they seem to recognize something. So I was kind of like piqued, my interest was piqued because of the interest of other people in what I possibly could do. So
you started so young in terms of the writing.
And then I wrote and I wrote more. And writing is just like exercise. Exercising a muscle. So the more you write, the more you become better.
So
but I never really considered myself a very good writer. In fact, in my college days, there were like at least two of us who were considered campus writers.
Yeah.
And she was the better one. And but I was the one who persisted. So sometimes writing is also about persistence.
Persistence.
Because like I said, the more you write, the better you become.
So what is your process, Sir Ian? Because for Ange, it's more on the deadline, and then you start with a word, and a word follows. How about you, sir? Do you need some coffee, or are you more of that evening person or morning person? What's your process?
That famous idea of writers needing to drink to write, I think is propagated basically by Nick Joaquin. Because Nick Joaquin is a very famous Filipino writer, national artist for literature. And he was known for drinking beer. But he drank beer every time, not just for writing, but I think writing helped basically for him. So, but for me, I don't need to write. I actually thought I was a writer who needed solitude to write. And I was always writing like that for the longest time.
Right.
Until I found myself, I was the Philippine delegate to the Iowa Writers International Writing Program at Iowa in 2010. And then I found myself gravitating towards one cafe in the middle of the city. And then I started thinking, I like writing in the middle of a bustling cafe. So that kind of threw away my idea that I wanted solitude. So I've been writing in cafes since then. So actually everybody who knows me know that if you want to find me,
you're in the coffee shops.
I'm in the coffee shop.
Okay.
So Right now, my office is Bricks Hotel because it's constant coffee,
Right, and it's
so,
near the
yeah,
university.
so it's coffee for me.
Okay.
And
coffee.
music.
Music. All right. How about you, Keisha? Because I've learned that you are a chemistry student, and this is your first time submitting a Filipino entry, right? So, what also motivated you to write a Filipino entry, and what is your process as a poet?
My mother is still a Filipino teacher.
Right.
She's a teacher in a city college in La Carlota City. All of my siblings are dancers. I'm the only one in the family who cannot dance.
Okay.
My father, my mother, they all dance, and then I'm the
Wow.
only one in the family who cannot dance. And then I am the only one in the family who did not graduate as in the education field, like BS Ed degree.
Yes. Right.
I don't know how they call that. I'm the only one in the family who is not a teacher or who is not going to be a teacher. So I wanted to write in Filipino for the first time just to prove that I am the daughter of my mother.
So this is your gift to your mom. All right. But I mean, it must have been working because it was recognized and you will be awarded this month, no? So congratulations. I'd just like to bring this up as a sudden topic because I'm sure that as time goes by, everything is time is a function of everything. Meaning to say, things change through time. And one of the challenges right now of the creatives like you would be this artificial intelligence. No? So for instance, if I'd want to create a poem, I mean, automatically I'll just write a theme on an AI tool and then it gives me the number of stanzas I want. So what is your reaction to this? How do you feel about this AI? I'd like to hear first from Sir Ian.
I won't lie, I've used AI to kind of try to see what it can do for me in terms of creative writing. But I will never use AI for my, like, something that I would submit to the Palanca, for example, or something like that. And right now, AI was introduced to us a year ago. I mean, in the initial months, I was always using it, chatting with it. But in my writing, I just go on with my own way because it's actually easier. Okay, and with AI writing, oh my God, I've tried write a short story about this, and then it always ends with a happy ending. the same metaphors about mountains. It's like because
It's so basic.
it's robotic.
Yeah.
The way AI was churning out all of those attempts at creative writing,
Right.
but I've used AI to kind of for example, when I'm writing a short story and then I'm in a bind. For example, I'm trying to write a mystery story right now, and there's a particular situation there where I don't exactly even know where to go plot-wise. So I would sometimes get a prompt like, how would I solve this particular tangle in my plot? And then it would give several ideas. Like, oh, okay. Then in that sense, AI can help. Okay,
it could be.
But in terms of writing the entire thing,
Yeah.
no, it's very robotic.
Miss Ange, should we see AI more of a threat, or we could treat it as more of a friend or an assistive tool?
I think you can treat it as a friend, certainly, because it gives you ideas. It's an ideas generator, right?
Right.
But when you try writing a poem or a story on it, it's just terrible because it sounds like not a human being wrote it, And a human being, you need in the writing, you need connection, and you need emotion, and you need empathy.
Right.
So it doesn't have that.
And definitely AI cannot, cannot perfectly formulate those components or aspect. So you are now already in, I would say, the prime of your careers, and we also bid you the same, Keisha. But let's walk the memory lane, and I want you to ask about the first piece that you have written. Can you still recall it, Sir Ian? The first, was it something, perhaps not necessarily the first, but something first that was so memorable and so remarkable
I still
for
have
you?
my old blue notebook, which I kept when I was in grade 6.
Wow. We'll not ask about the
There
year.
are many stories. There are many stories that I actually find fascinating. I don't begrudge the way I used to write. even though they're kind of juvenile and ill. But you know, for me, it's like I see my own development as a writer. So I wrote something about Tarzan. And two best friends. And then what surprised me actually is that a lot of the themes that I have developed over the years could already be found in those first few stories that I wrote when I was a kid. So like, oh, I have been writing about this pala. So yeah, that kind of gives me an idea about, you know, my own development, where I started and so on and so forth.
What a journey it has been.
Yeah. So yeah, but you remember your first award? Oh my God, when I first won my Palanca in 2002, it actually came to me and I was in a depressed mode because I was actually thinking, why am I writing?
Yeah.
And then I heard somebody say, because at that time I was taking up graduate school in Silliman, and a lot of the writers in Silliman and also teachers in Silliman as well were moving to UP Davao. It's like a lot of them, and I was the one left behind.
Some migration.
And then somebody asked one of them nga, kinsa na may mabilin nga writer sa Dumaguete? And then somebody said, si Ian. And then apparently one of them said, but Ian as a writer? Katawa.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, when I heard that, I felt so down, like, oh, I'm not considered a writer by people pala. And so I was really depressed for several months. And then I received the Palanca a few months later, and it kind of gave me validation.
Yes.
So like, oh my God, okay, this is proof that I could write. So I will always remember that first Palanca. Because it kind of gave me life as a writer again.
Yeah.
After doubting about what I could do about it for a few months.
Right. So those are memorable for Sir Ian. How about you, Keisha? When did you start writing? What is the first memorable piece that you won't forget?
I started writing when I was young. I would always read my mother's book. It's mga alamat, because she's a literary teacher in Filipino ganit. So it's mga alamat, mga bugtong,
So she writes as well?
No, she doesn't say nga writer siya. We don't say that. So, and then over the years, I started joining essay competitions in the division.
Yeah.
And my teachers are like, oh, you can write. You're like, you can write. But I don't want to be a writer. Like, I want to pursue science or chemistry. But my mom was always, no, I cannot relate to that. Or my family was always, no, what are you talking about? So the only way I can relate to them is through writing. So I write and then I let my mother read it. But if I write for example, if I write a short story, my mom would be like, so long. Or for example, if I write an essay, my mom would be like, can you just give me a synopsis? I decided to write poetry.
For children.
That one prompted the I see. All
so
right.
I started writing poetry. So my mom would say, okay, this is short, this is readable, so yeah, I can read this. Or and then I have this niece. Her name is Sachi. She asked me to teach her how to read.
And so you let her read your poem?
No, she asked me to teach her how to read on the day sang deadlines sang submissions sang Palanca. So I decided, I already have 3 tula for children. So I decided to, okay, why not make it 10? So Sachi would be, happy to have 10 short poems for her to read. So I decided to write on that day, and I asked some of my friends. Can you tell me where can I find a lawyer to sign the entry form? And then my friends were like, in the portal is.
Yeah.
It's already, I think, 4:30, and I was like, is
and
it
the
still
deadline
open?
was 5 or
I think
No,
it's
it's
11.
12 midnight.
12 midnight,
Yeah.
okay. But the office closes at 5.
Yeah. And then we were from the lab doing our, lab activities, and then
Maybe
my
we went
friends
to
were
the
like,
same lawyer.
Portal West. At Portal
Sino?
Yeah. I consider that as my lucky charm.
We're lucky
At
charm.
law office.
Okay, so tip to those who want to bag an award, go to that Maxino Law Office in Portal West. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, and
Wow,
then I
amazing.
submitted at around 11 p.m. because I don't have I don't have a signal.
Everything is up to the penultimate second.
Yeah.
Very exciting. We're running out of time, and as much as I want to extend our conversation, but I'm down to 2 questions. Number 1 is, can you share to us what are your influences? And the second one is, what is your advice to all who wish to pursue this career? Will it be economically sustainable for them, or what are the pieces of advice you can give to them? So let's start with Ma'am Ange. Who are your influences? Or did you have a mentor?
Yes, I did have a mentor in UP Diliman where I did my MA. My mentor was Isabella Banzon and Paulo Manalo. And I learned a lot from them, mostly to love the poets that they loved, which was Elizabeth Bishop, Angela Manalang Gloria, things like that. And my advice for young writers would just be to keep writing, keep pushing through, even if someone tells you, oh, your writing isn't good enough, or someone tells you you'll never be published here. Do it because you will.
Yes. So I like that. Do it because you will.
Yeah.
Persistence. Keisha, your influences. Did you? Of course, your mother was so instrumental in all of your writing, the points in your writing stint, no? But do you have an idol ba tawag ba dyan? Or a motivation? Or the readings that you like?
I always go out with Anna and her mother. So maybe they are one of my major influencers in whatever, in chemistry, in writing. They are actually pushing me or encouraging me to do better things and make use of my time. So whenever I don't have anything to do, I sit down in my messy table and write. I don't know what I am writing about or where it is going, but I just write. That's how it that is how it started, and every time I write, I just sit on my messy table and then I just write.
Advice to novice writers.
If you really want to do something, put your heart into it. I mean, your field of interest can vary. Because I am from...
You can be multi-potential,
yeah,
no?
I am from the chemistry department, but my love for writing never died. But it actually flourished. So whatever or wherever you are, as long as you love something, do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Because you can do it. Sir Ian.
I have several writing mentors, but I need to start with the one that gave me the basics. My grade school English teacher, Benedict V. Concepcion, because in writing, it's really the language is foundational. And I had no idea that it was happening to me when I was a kid, and she was teaching me all the basic grammar. And then everything that I learned from her, I still kind of put into that until, years later, even until now. So, Ma'am Benedict V. Concepcion, thank you for that foundational thing you did when I was a kid. But in terms of creative writing, there are 2. Timothy Montes was my teacher in Silliman, also Palanca winner, and he was really the one who pushed me to join this particular workshop, to write for this particular magazine. So he was my pusher, to borrow that mean girl term. He was my pusher to do a lot of things creative writing wise, because I actually didn't know about the Silliman University National Writers Workshop until he became my teacher, and then he told me, join the workshop because you need to how this workshop pala exists, and I'm a Dumagueteño, and I didn't even know that workshop, the oldest creative writing workshop in Asia, actually existed in my own hometown. He was the one who opened the doors for me. But later on, there was another mentor that kind of gave me an idea of how to really situate my writing in the realm of, like, let's say, Philippine literature, and that's Rosario Cruz Lucero from Bacolod. And Ma'am Chari once gave a lecture, and I still remember that lecture until now, where she said that you really have to write about your sense of place, because you owe it to your place, to Dumaguete, to Bacolod, to La Carlota,
sense of
to
place.
kind of, because these are towns, these are places in the world that usually are not written about. So it's your responsibility to write about them, to talk about the histories of the people in that particular place. So after I listened to that particular lecture, I really tried to concentrate on writing about Dumaguete, its people, its history, and so on and so forth. And when you write about the specific Manggod, you're also writing for the universal. So I learned from those three people the most about writing. And then in terms of like advice, for me, they said, write. I will go with a twin answer to that. Read. Because whenever I want to do my own writing, I actually start by reading. And I think most of us really started to write because we read something and we wanted to emulate that somebody.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is so nice. I want to copy this. And I actually started by copying Nick Joaquin. Like, one of my earliest short stories was essentially a copycat of Nick Joaquin's May Day Eve, say. So I began by copying the style of Nick Joaquin, and later on, I evolved with my own voice. So reading is essential in the writing. And whenever I try to do my own serious writing, I begin by reading first.
Wow.
I read authors that I know, authors that I love, authors that I discover, and I actually read my own stuff to kind of assure myself na I can do this pala. Okay, let me take a look at
good advice.
Let me take a look at what I've written before. Oh, I did this before. Okay, so I then begin to write.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, during our pre-interview chikahan, you mentioned, Sir Ian, that you have this plan to come up with a community of writers and establish perhaps a formal association. So perhaps this is a good opportunity for you to invite. And do you have already initial
Well, it's not a
details?
plan. We actually already launched it last October. We had our first meeting last October. Angeles, remember that? I'm inviting you to be part of
Yes.
that. Because the thing is, an association of writers should actually be a thing to do. There are so many regional associations of writers already. Like the Davao writers have their own guild. The Palawan writers have their
Yes.
own guild. The Cebu writers even. And even the Bicolano writers. And I was thinking, Dumaguete is supposed to be a center of literature in the Philippines. Why don't we have our own writers group? We actually had before. We called it the Dumaguete Literary Arts. But it died when its founder died, the poet Ernesto Supirali of Tanhay. And the year he died, we kind of did not meet anymore. And then I tried to revive it. And then I was advised that if you try to revive an organization that's kind of dead already, it's actually more expensive.
So you just have to make another
if you want to like register it with the SEC, like mas lisod.
The bureaucracy
So better if you found another group.
So do you have a Facebook page, sir,
we
that
do
they
have
can check?
we do have a Facebook page. We even have a journal online already.
Wow.
And we've done so many projects already, but we haven't applied for the SEC yet.
It's called, for our audience, Douglas Writers Guild.
After the old name of Negros Island, which means that this association is not just for Oriental.
Yeah.
It's also for the writers in Negros Occidental and even Siquijor.
Okay. So those who are interested, check their Facebook page and their website and you will find the details there. All right. Once again, dagan kayong salamat. As much as I have so many questions for you, but we are really out of time. So in conclusion, I just want you to think of one word, okay, that you considered as your favorite word. It could be a Bisaya, it could be an English word, Tagalog, or whatever. One word that you feel that represents you right now, your feelings. Okay, so I'll give you some seconds to think. And while you do that, I'd like to thank everyone who are watching right now via Facebook and YouTube channel. Daghang kayong salamat. And we would love to see you next week. All right, I think they're done thinking. Kisha.
Padayon.
Padayon.
I want to borrow that. I already gave this word a while ago. So
Sir Ian,
persistence na lang.
Persistence.
Ambivalence.
Oh, ambivalence. Wonderful words. So thank you very much once again, Assistant Professor Casocot, Ma'am Ange, Keisiah, congratulations. Hopefully you have more awards to bag in the future. So guys, padayon, be persistent, learn to have that ambivalence, and see you next week, and to God be the glory. Hey there, Sillimanians! Dagang salamat for joining another episode. Continue supporting our social media platforms on Facebook. It's called #Silliman. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on your favorite episodes. We also have a growing community on YouTube. It's called #Silliman. Don't forget to click the notification bell for you to be updated with our recent posts. See you there. And of course, catch us every Monday night, that's 8 p.m. via Channel 6 Phil Products Dumaguete. And replays will be aired every Tuesday before the noontime news and Saturday after the noontime news. This has been Joshua Soldivillo on behalf of Ronelyn Faith Vailoces. See you next week on the Here on #Silliman. Bye!